if you're going to be an effective safety leader, what is it that you have to understand in order to be effective? The context of that is that there really is new knowledge in the safety world today that we did not know 10 years ago. Significant new knowledge. I kind of want to emphasize that because it wouldn't be hard if you weren't right in the center of how people are thinking about safety in the world. It wouldn't be hard to think, you know, we've known about these issues forever. It's kind of the same ball game that we've always had, right? Well, no, not right. It really has changed. My own thinking has changed from the days of behavior-based safety forward through leadership and serious injuries and fatalities and then decision-making. And more importantly, the knowledge base that informs how we think about this stuff has changed based on research, new research. So it's not, the change is sort of evolutionary. It's not that we say, well, that was just all wrong, although there are some times when we do, and I'll point those out today. But it's more that it has developed, it has evolved. But those steps in the evolution are very important. I mean, the way we think about injury causation and injury prevention today is quite different than it was even 10 years ago, let alone 20 or 30 years ago. Well, in your locations, much of what you're doing was formed quite a long time ago. And the way your people think about these things, the site level manager, the frontline supervisors, the people above the site manager, the way they think about these things may be out of date, may not be current leading edge thinking. The most important work that you have to do in safety is to prevent serious injuries and fatalities. Now, in a way, you might say, well, yeah, of course. I mean, that is the most important thing, right? But the data shows that across North America, the North American organizations that are interested in safety that we have data on, which is everybody, not just a few, in the aggregate, the reduction in smaller injuries shown at the top line, the green line, has been consistent and decreasing. But the reduction of serious injuries and fatalities has been decreasing, but at a very low level, and over the last 7 or 8 years shown on this slide, almost not decreasing at all. Now, this is a big deal. I mean, I don't know if this moves you or not, but if it doesn't, it should. This should move you. This should make you say, whoa, what is happening here? How could this be? So we're doing all this stuff to improve safety, right? We're dedicating very significant organizational resources to improve safety. And the effect of that is that we are reducing the smaller injuries, but we're not reducing the serious and fatal injuries. That causes you to wonder, well, what is it that's happening here? How could it be that we're reducing the small injuries but not the large ones? Didn't they teach us from that triangle, the safety triangle, didn't they teach us if we reduce the bottom of the triangle, we would also reduce the top at the same time? I gave that talk hundreds of times. I drew the triangle back in the old days, and I said, here's the bottom part, and you reduce this part, it goes right up to the top. That's what we thought. Turns out to be false. This data suggests that it's false. And we studied it with respect to when you reduce the bottom of the triangle, do you also reduce the top? Basically, that was the core question. And the answer was no. The answer was about 20% of the smaller injuries that you have, roughly 20%, have the potential to be serious. And the other 80% do not have the potential to be serious. Now, do you see the implication of that? That means that when you reduce at the bottom of the triangle, you may be reducing the 20 and you may be reducing the 80. If you're reducing the 80, it's going to have zero effect on the top of the triangle. The first really important thing that you have to understand in order to be effective is that safety performance is foundational to the performance of the organization overall. That it's the basic foundation upon which performance is built. Now, that's a very strong statement. I mean, it's easy enough to say, oh yeah, we know safety is important. Of course, we want to get safety right. Of course, we don't want our people to get hurt. But I'm not just saying that. I'm saying that getting safety right builds the foundation, the platform upon which high performance proceeds. I'm saying it's really down basic. It's core. And if you see that, it changes how you look at the whole thing. It changes the importance level. You realize that the opportunity that you have to improve safety is more than improving the numbers. It's improving performance of the whole organization. Now, how does that actually work? Well, it works because the underlying cultural factors that cause good safety performance are things that cause good performance generally. They're the trust that's in the organization, the teamwork, the collaboration, the amount of discretionary effort. The sense of reciprocity is the underlying principle. So if I'm a frontline employee or a supervisor, do I feel like this is an organization that supports me, that supports what I'm doing? I'm given tasks, I'm given responsibilities and objectives, but am I also given support? And the important question is, do I have that sense or don't I have that sense? If I do, the amount of discretionary effort, the dedication and commitment and so on that I have will go up. And safety performance is the way that happens. So when you improve safety by changing the culture of the organization, you see these kinds of things that I'm showing on this slide: engagement, teamwork, collaboration, all that stuff changes, and that is the mechanism by which you drive performance through the rest of the organization. I think the thing that needs to be understood is that culture is a sustaining mechanism rather than a driving mechanism. So if you want to make an improvement, it isn't really a great strategy to say, well, we're going to change the culture to make this improvement. You do want to change the culture, but changing the culture takes time, significant time. Cultures don't change like that. Cultures change gradually over time. So what are you going to do day to day that actually changes the culture, except talk about it? Leadership you can change, and when you change leadership, you get a change in culture. So the way I have put it, that I think is a fairly strong statement, maybe stronger than would be recognized ordinarily, is leaders are always in the process of creating culture. So if you're a leader in an organization and you recognize cultural issues, where do you need to look? Right? You're the one creating that culture. You're the one with the opportunity to create that culture. So how you think about things, the decisions you make, the things you say, the things you fail to say, all of that stuff is what creates the culture. So if you have a culture where people don't trust each other, communication is low, value for safety is not what we really would like it to be, you have to ask yourself, how am I creating that culture? So it isn't that I get the culture that I want, it's that I get the culture that is just present in the way that I do things, the way I think about things. So I'm always doing it for better or for worse. I'm always creating the culture, whether I know about it, whether I intend it or not. And the upgrading process of safety leadership is to become aware of, how is it that I influence it, am I influencing it in a way that I would like to do?